Welcome to the podcast. I'm Carrie Fitz, owner and broker of Carrie Fitz Real Estate here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Today, I am super excited to welcome a very special guest, Kyle South. He is the president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce of West Alabama. Today, we'll be talking about what's happening in our local economy, how the Chamber supports businesses, which it absolutely does, and our community, which it absolutely does, and what the future holds for Tuscaloosa and West Alabama. So Kyle, thank you so very much for joining us today. I'm really happy that you're here. So to get started, can you tell us just a little bit about the mission of the Chamber of Commerce and how it does serve our community?
Yeah, absolutely. First, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come on here and join you in this conversation about our community. You know, we've talked about it in the past. It is our goal, it is our mission to tell the stories of the community, and through opportunities such as this, we are able to do that. And we celebrate our businesses, we celebrate our community, and if nobody else is waving that flag, we've got to stand in the gap. So thank you again. Right. You know, that the mission, as stated, of the Chamber of Commerce of West Alabama is to be a driver of economic vitality across West Alabama by empowering, unifying, and advocating for our business community and its workforce. And that's going on under a little bit of a morphosis over the last few years. You know, I would say that mission statement as a whole has been around for 30 some odd years. But what we did a deep dive into that just last year, kind of made it a little bit more concise, but also brought in the regional aspects of what we do as a Chamber of Commerce and how those things regionally affect Tuscaloosa being the center focus
Sure.
Of the entire region.
Great. So having said that, what are some of the biggest accomplishments that the Chamber has achieved just over the past year?
Yeah, you know, sometimes a lot of the things that we do, big initiative-wise, take years to maybe make positive steps and momentum in those directions.
To show up, because
That's right.
you work on it for a long time, and it takes a while before all of a sudden people think, oh, this just happened. Well, it didn't just happen.
Correct.
Right.
You know, some of those big initiatives, childcare is a huge need across
right.
West Alabama and in our footprint. You know, I've heard it say that we're 3,000 seats short just here in Tuscaloosa County. And how does that affect us? Well, that keeps people out of the workforce. That makes it harder for people to invest in other things. And so, you know, that's one of the big initiatives that we've been working on. And we've made some positive progress on that front. The state adopted, I would like to think with our help and a little bit of influence from out West Alabama, but adopted a new tax credit program that will help further expand child care opportunities, both for the facilitator, but also for the families that are affected by it. You know, one of the things that we can't talk broadly about publicly, I think is the biggest accomplishment that we've had as the Chamber since my tenure. You know, two years last week, but I'm still wearing the new label as long as I can. Is the effect and the dollars that were spent on the UAW effort at Mercedes. And you know, one of those things, thought processes in supporting those employees out there was we want their voices to be the ones that are communicated with here locally, right? We want them to have that voice with management and with the company, rather than it being somebody in Detroit, Michigan, or Washington, D.C.,
and
right?
Mercedes is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a city out there. And I haven't toured it in a couple of years, but it really is fascinating. If you haven't toured Mercedes or been out there, I mean, you can see it from the highway, but it's something completely different when you're in there. And it's immaculate. It's very well organized. And it is like a city, and there's so many subsidiaries around that. I mean, it just drives, it was a good thing.
Yeah, and so, you know, within that universe of that particular vote, there were 5,200 or so employees that were involved in that. But if you really think about the direct and indirect jobs of Mercedes, that's upwards of 30,000 jobs that are affected. And so it was important for us to keep that voice local. and to have it. Obviously, there were some internal issues that needed to be ironed out, but that needed to happen between the company and its employees, not a third party. We have to be careful at times as it relates to unions as a broad perspective, because some do good work. Some provide workforce channels, training opportunities, development, those kinds of things. But in our opinion, the UAW is more of a political influence than anything else. And we have to make sure that those employees that were making those decisions were aware of that.
Very good, very good. So that's big business.
Yep.
How does the chamber support small businesses and entrepreneurs in Tuscaloosa? Because that's a whole thing in and of itself.
No doubt. And I think, from a training, from coaching, from the networking aspects of all that we do, our list of programs is pretty broad. And all of the programs are not for everybody, but within that menu of options, there's something for everybody. And so as it relates to small business, simple things that maybe they can't take on as a burden within a 5-person company or business, such as legal changes. One of the biggest training sessions that we have every year is employee training as it relates to laws that are passed. The Department of Labor had major overhauls in everything that they do as far as compensation this past year. It's a big deal. Yeah. I think the growing nature of AI and machine learning is something that everybody is going to get their hands into, and we want to be a catalyst for some of that growth within small business.
Yeah, it's here.
It's
whether
here.
you like it or not, it's here.
It is,
so.
And it's not a threat. We've got to get comfortable with it.
Yeah, I'm starting to wrap my brain around it, and I'm not a big techie person, but I think it's fascinating.
It is absolutely fascinating.
It really is. So
and if it can make mine and your day a little bit more efficient,
and
that's all we're looking for, right?
So
we've got to use it in productive ways that people are not scared to kind of get into. So that's a big one. Social media trainings. One of the greatest ones that I think that we do is QuickBooks for small business. Mm-hmm. Not every business has an accountant on staff. And
we
so,
don't.
Just understanding the ins and outs, the updates that come along with those types of softwares is a big help to small business.
Yeah, I agree. So how would you describe the current economic climate in Tuscaloosa and West Alabama?
So each year, and you and I have had the opportunity to do this in the past, we go through with all of the investors of the Chamber of Commerce and just have a listening session, so to speak. Understand what value adds we can bring to the table, but also the needs of the business community. And I will tell you, as opposed to last year, the overwhelming perspective this year has been much more positive.
Right.
There isn't one thing that has been, eye-opening to me as far as, it's this one issue that's causing that change in kind of thought and philosophy, but much more positive than those conversations were last year.
That's great. That is great. When you have these conversations, is it open to chamber members? Is it open to the public? And how do you get that word out?
So, we try to do a good job of internal survey, membership surveys, those kinds of things. But one of the things that I brought because of my political background is understanding the needs and wants of the community as a whole too. So we have taken on a little bit of that in kind of morphing those two together, because oftentimes they're very different. But doing some polling community-wide to understand what the community as a whole thinks our priorities should be.
Yeah, it's a good idea, I think, sometimes to have another voice at the table. It's great to have the membership, and they should be speaking out and letting you know all the time because they're invested. But it is good to hear, I think, to have that other voice, because it's a perspective that your group might not have.
We've got to stay focused on the business advocacy parts of what we're doing, but in that it can be influenced by the community as a whole.
That's right. Are there any trends in business growth or development that real estate agents or home buyers should pay attention to here?
So obviously everybody wants to talk about interest rates and all those kinds of macro type things, right? I think here locally though, a couple of things that I try to pay attention to that seem to be kind of unique in a lot of ways to our community. We've heard for years about the enrollment cliff that could be coming, those kinds of things. I don't think that is necessarily an effector for anchor institutions like the University of Alabama. I think that's more of a regional type thing, but it's something that we need to keenly pay attention to as we go forward. I don't think the Birmingham Southerns of the world are a flash in the pan, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so we've got to understand that. We've got to understand the nuances of it all. And then kind of piggybacking off of that, the one that really affects our community uniquely from others is NIL. So we went to DC on our annual fly-in last year and took 15 to 20 business leaders from the area. And I was shocked at how the conversations navigated more towards NIL and the effects that it has on business in our community uniquely from others, because, so goes commerce as, winning and losing and bringing in the students from all across the country to an institution that our first glimpse or their first glimpse into our community may be our football or basketball team.
Sure. And of course, Saban has been very vocal
No doubt.
on the NIL front. And I think that he is a force to be reckoned with. And when he speaks, people listen. So, that I've had some experiences with the NIL when it first came out, I had an athlete at the university who was all into helping support softball, the camps in Jenna.
Right.
And I had reached out and spoken to the head of it, and we had an event planned here, and it was right at the beginning of that NIL, and she had said it was a softball player, a very popular, very attractive softball player.
Right.
That I needed to talk to her attorney. I talked to her with her mother. All this. She was all on board to help these little 13, 14-year-olds, get them excited and all that. And as soon as that attorney got involved, man, it crashed and burned.
Yeah.
It never happened, never went any further, and it was disappointing, that happened. But anyway, that was my little glimpse in it. And like I said, that was probably maybe I have no concept of time, 3 years ago,
That's
something
right.
like that. But.
Well, and I think we are getting accustomed to the new landscape of college athletics. I think that was part of that early adoption of NIL, but I think we're getting to a point with the new settlement that I think we're getting to a place where everybody can feel more comfortable and it get back truly to the purposes and the expectations that NIL were set early on.
Yeah.
So
sometimes it kind of looks like they're preying on children because these kids are, these football players are children.
Yeah.
When they, 17-year-old quarterbacks or whatever they are, they're kids, and so I think somebody needs to take care of them.
Well, and then some states are even going so far as to allow that to happen down into the K-12 system.
Yeah, I saw some of that. Yeah.
Not here in Alabama yet, but I mean, what we look at, putting my old hat back on as a legislator was, are we in a place where we are not working at a competitive disadvantage to other states?
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. So what role do you see? We're downtown. I love downtown.
Yep.
We own a lot of property downtown. What role do you see downtown Tuscaloosa playing in the overall growth of the region?
So the downtown area of Tuscaloosa is the cornerstone of all of West Alabama. And the transformation that has taken in downtown over the last several years is something that we see on a daily basis. But other people outside of our community are paying attention to, and it has caught the attention of a lot of people. And I think that will continue to happen, activating the Saban Center in downtown as a part of that. More development up and down the riverfront is something that I think a lot of people want to see in a very responsible manner. So I think that downtown Tuscaloosa is the cornerstone of everything that we do throughout West Alabama. And, back to that regional conversation, we have to understand that we are the hub. Mm-hmm. And however we can help to develop that and help our surrounding communities takes a little bit of pressure off of our local infrastructure. And speaking of that infrastructure, the redevelopment of Jack Warner Parkway around to Martin Luther King is on the precipice. Right. Just kind of future-proofing a lot of that infrastructure need has been a good.
Yeah, I moved to Tuscaloosa in November of 1988. And when I moved here, just about every storefront in downtown Tuscaloosa was closed.
That's right.
I mean, it was empty, which is the case for a lot of downtowns. It was not exclusive to Tuscaloosa. But I chose to open my first business, which was Subs and You in the downtown pub, Alabama Grill, Johnny's, all of those restaurants downtown. And just watched it grow and grow and grow. And it's just amazing to me, in that amount of time, about 35 years, the changes that downtown, for the better.
Yep.
I mean, I'll sit at a restaurant in downtown Tuscaloosa and see everybody walking around and walking dogs and jogging. And there was a time when nobody came, and I remember people coming into the restaurant and saying, I love your food, too bad you're in this terrible location. And then once things started going, I owned that first restaurant for about 15 years, and then I gave it to my sister. But before I had given it to her, people would come in and say, man, your food is so good and you're in a great location.
Yeah.
So it was just amazing, the change in the
almost
chatter.
Like it happened overnight.
Yeah, and I continue to see, I love Minerva. Mm-hmm. I mean, every time I go down to the river, there's Caleb did such a good job with that. And the signage and just the green spaces, and Shelby doing the courthouse. It looks like something that should be in DC. I mean, we've been so fortunate, the touches that we've had from different people and different groups in downtown Tuscaloosa who love it and appreciate it. And I think that we have been very fortunate, and I just love to see it.
And now you're seeing new components of that come online too, right? You have additional housing in downtown. Retail development obviously is at the forefront of many of those conversations, but the walkability of downtown and the ease of access is one of those that has to remain a priority going forward. Again, back to that responsible growth and development. Yeah,
but it really, to me, it's amazing and it's fabulous. And the forefathers who decided in the 70s to build that lake, I mean, huge. And the fact that we have the river. I love going over the river and seeing the crew team or a barge or something going on. I mean, it's really a great, and I've lived a lot of places, and I've lived here the longest.
Well, I know we're going to talk a little bit about it later on with some of the kind of visionary priorities, but I think our water assets here in our community are second to none, and something that we don't totally utilize to its full potential.
Not yet.
Yep, that's right.
So thanks to everyone for tuning in, and until next time, carry on.